Cable Data Science Channel's Sunday evening live stream. I'm an amateur data scientist, data sleuth. Today's subject is twofold. First, we're going to take a look at the historical numbers for polio. And the reason I'm looking at polio disease is because it's a reminder that first I would say that polio, the Salk's polio vaccine was probably the second greatest medical breakthrough of the 20th century. The first being penicillin back in 1928. You know, as you may not know, but polio was the scourge of young people. I'm talking children during the 20s for the first half of the 20th century. Uh, I mentioned that polio is also called child polio, infantile polio, uh, and this really came to the forefront with Franklin Delano Roosevelt. When at the age, I think it was 39, Franklin was stricken with childhood polio. And from that point on, there was this great push, as you'll see, to produce a polio vaccine. It produced a U.S.-wide drive, financial drives, kids collecting pennies and dimes and jars to fund the research. Let's take a quick look here at a couple things, okay? I just want to give you a brief history, just so you understand the real significance of the polio vaccine. The most famous victim of 1921 outbreak was the future president, Franklin Delano Roosevelt. 1921, he was vaccinated. In the late 1940s, March of Dime was a grassroots organization founded with President Roosevelt's help to find a way to defend against polio. Enlisted Dr. Jonas Salk, head of the virus research lab at University of Pittsburgh. Okay, come down here. We say that after mass inoculation began in 1954, I think it's actually like February, everyone marveled at the high success rate, 60 per 70%, until the vaccine caused a sudden outbreak of 20 cases. After it was determined that the cases were caused by a faulty batch of vaccines, production standards began and were improved. And by August 2014, a little over a year later, some 4 million doses had been given. Okay, so now let's come back over here. The actual data for the actual data for the polio uh, comes from the data comes from okay. The data for the polio itself comes from ourworldindata.org. If you're familiar with this data.org, it has a wealth of available data sets which can be used for your personalization, for personal use, or for projects, different types. A lot of it has to do with health and welfare type issues worldwide, diseases, and things like that. And if you scroll down, you'll see you'll be able to download the data near the bottom of the screen. Okay. So now let's begin. I'll also mention that the second data set we're working with comes from the U.S. Center for Disease Control. This is the total COVID-19 deaths by age and sex. That's the second group of data tonight, okay? So let's open up our numbers up here. Switch to the polio numbers. Polio. And what I want you to realize is, even with this miracle drug, the disease took, maybe 5 to 10 years to really get under control, okay? Let's change this to 11. Okay, sorry for the background noise there. Let's take a look. Let's just take a look at the raw data first for this, okay? never hurts to take it just in case there's something that needs to be done about it. Okay. Okay. Now, I believe this data runs up to 1920, not mistaken, or not 1920. Starts 1910 and goes up to 2010 or 2020. So let's take a look here. Polio cases and deaths. It's also good at it. Maybe take a quick look at your data in an editor or spreadsheet program. Okay. So what you see, here's the year, here's the cases, and here's the deaths. If you scroll down the bottom, you see that the death ends with 2019. Okay. So now let's come back over here. Let's take a look. We got it. Let's also include Plotly here. Okay. Plotly will allow us to use interactive plotting. So the libraries is pretty standard: ggplot2, Scales, and Plotly. Uh, and there's the numbers again. Okay. Okay. So we look down here. We read and we come down here. It says since 1979, no cases of polio have originated in the U.S. However, the virus has been brought into the country by travelers with polio. The last time this happened was 1993. So we're going to go read the data. We've got to interesting. We'll pull out the data is less than or equal to 1979. Okay. Then we're going to do a summary of the cases and a summary of the deaths. Then we're going to plot these numbers. Okay. And the reason we want to see this is because, as it says up here, since 1979, there's no cases, so there's no point in looking to the cases beyond 1979. We're going to do basic plots down here. We're also going to be using a GeoSmooth to give us a plotted average. But what we're really interested in here, okay, what we're really interested here, we got to replot these as a one. We're going to put these into a variable. Then we're going to use the ggplotly command to be able to zoom in on the data. Okay? Okay? ggplot 2, 2. Okay. Now, polio cases 1950 to 1970. Polio cases 1910 to 1979. Okay, this is 1950 to 1970. Let's actually change this to, let's try 54. Because the first vaccine was administered in February 1954. So let's do this. 3. Okay. So let's go ahead and run this up here then. So this is the total number of deaths from 1910 to 1979. 607,477. Okay. I'm sorry, this is the total number of cases from 1910 to 1979. 607,477. At the same time frame, 59,511. between 1910 and 1979. Of course, compare that to COVID-19. These numbers are like, what's all the excitement about? Yet these numbers, and when President FDR became infected, completely changed the face of America. Okay, it'd be interesting to know what the biggest callers of the disease. But anyway, I'm skipping a little bit. So now we can, and this is interesting because we compare this to the cases and deaths for COVID-19. So now let's take a look at the cases 1910 to 1979 as a whole. Okay, come back over here. This is total cases. Okay, 1910 to 1970. You can see the low S curve. You can see the data here. Okay, now it's deaths. Look what happened after here. Look how the deaths fell. This is 1951. Okay, this is the full data set. Now let's come down here. Let's only look at from the period when the first vaccine. Okay, there's a quite change there. GG. Okay, so now let's take a look here. Okay, here's the thing we're interested in here. Oh, wait. This is no wonder. Okay, this doesn't work. This doesn't work. Okay, okay, now let's come back here. Okay, 1954 to 1979. It was here. You know what? Let's say because we want to get the biggest spike we can. Okay, so we can actually compare it. Okay, okay. Let's rerun this one more time. Okay, so what we see here is this is 1950. This is 54. This is 1951 deaths. So let's zoom in here. Okay, 52, 53, and 54. Okay, okay. So you can see we had a huge spike back in 1951 of deaths, over 3,000 deaths. Let's take a look at polio cases first of all. I got this reversed on it. Okay, okay. Now, as you can see, there was this huge spike in cases back in 1951, 52. I think it's actually, February 1953 when the first vaccine was a 54. You can see, interesting enough, the cases have actually fallen prior to when the vaccine was actually available. So this is where it is. But what I want you to see here is 1 year. Here's the big spike when it first started. So these numbers may be declined by how much? So what you can see here is, look at this. We had 34,000 cases in 1954. That fell to 22, 19, that fell to 19, why is that saying 177? That, that fell to 22,000 cases in 1954. So it looks like it took maybe, the vaccine was here, actually here. Then it took 2 years of complete vaccinations. And of course, not everybody's vaccinated by that time, I don't think, to reduce this by almost half. So vaccinations were started here, continued here. But it still took all the way to 1979 before there were no more cases of polio in the U.S. Okay, because in 1979, when when we officially declared polio free. Look at deaths. Same situation here. 1952, a huge spike in deaths, over 3,000 deaths. The vaccine began here. Now look at this. The deaths declined, I would say, at a slower rate than cases. This is when we started here. Then it declined 1, 2, 3, 4. Interesting enough, there's a little spike back in here, 5. So it really took 1, 2, 3, 4 years to really get the deaths down significantly. Okay. And my point of this is to remind us there's talk of a vaccine for COVID-19 by January this year. Even with the massive effort to vaccinate people after we decide who is going to be vaccinated first, it could take several years to really see the benefit of that vaccine. And the second point is we may never get rid of COVID-19. Okay? Okay, so that's my point for the polio. You know, miracle drugs don't produce miracles. Miracle drugs do produce miracles, but it sometimes takes several years for the miracle to fully take place. So that takes care of the numbers for polio. Now let's go back and let's go down. Let's re-download our data for our weekly COVID-19 deaths by week. Now this is week. This is state. We're only concerned with the weekly numbers at this point. You can see here that it says let your data from data.cdc.gov, the ICHS. Let me see if I can maybe put this in the. Here you go. Here's the link to this data I'm going to be using. Okay. So I'm going to export the data. Let's export it as a CSV file. Okay. We're going to minimize this again. Over here. We're going to get rid of this data here. We're really only concerned with the week and state, I believe. Let me check that. Well, you know what? Let's just get the other one down just in case. I can't remember what I actually did with it. Export CSV. Close this. Minimize this. So we're going to come back over to documents. We're going to take this one here. We're going to change it back to what? And we're going to change it to now. Week age sex. Okay. We're going to take this here. Which comes first? Sex age. Okay. We're going to rename this. Okay. Now we're going to rename this one WEEK dash also. Come back over here now. Let's just do this. Let's just copy these two here. Okay. We're really concerned most with this one is let's take a quick look in a spreadsheet of this data here. All right. So the date we're interested in, since this is all the United States numbers, okay. So the only column we're interested in is the end date, okay, the sex, the age group, total deaths, and COVID-19 deaths, okay. Let's come back over here, open up our file here. Let's just update this thing here first, okay. Let's just, okay, let's just get rid of this. Let's open up our data, our libraries for age and sex. Okay. Now, let's see. We use age, sex. Use that. And do we actually use any other? Okay. Now we got our data set for. Anyway, first of all, let's come back over here and take a look at this data. We're concerned with weeks here. So we're only concerned with the week ending date because this is weekly. These are the total numbers for each age, for each sex and age group. Total deaths, no COVID-19 deaths. Okay. So on January 1st, well, on February 1st, 2020. Okay. This is the date as of. We're concerned with the end date. There are 58,784 deaths reported in the U.S. for all sexes and all age groups, but no COVID-19 deaths. The first COVID-19 death doesn't come till here. Okay? So this was as of, so this is the week ending. Uh, this was the week ending February 8th, 2020. Okay? February 8th, 2020. For all ages, all sex, all ages, there are 53,334 deaths in the U.S., but only one COVID-19 death. So we're only interested in, I believe, take a look up here real quick. But we don't really care about state, do we? Well, state isn't here. Well, yes, it is. Okay. We don't really care about state because I think the only states listed is the United States. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. So that's what we're interested in. We're really only interested in the alls. Okay. We're interested in all sex, all ages, males, all ages, males groups, female all ages, and stuff like that. Okay. Like I say, it's always good to look at your data. This you understand exactly what you have and what you need. Okay. So now we come back over here to our data set. And I just added this thing here. I'm going to add a plotly here also. Not sure if I'm going to use it or not, but I'll put it here anyway. Plotly, of course, gives us all interactive plots. I've also added, excuse me, skills, which allows us to format the labels, the X and Y labels. dplyr is a very common thing. I probably don't need readr because readr may mainly be used for, well, okay, I need it because I'm using read_CSV. Okay, tidyr may not use readr, I probably use, okay. So we load our libraries. Then we come down here, we clean up all of our stuff. Reader data into a variable called weekly age. Janitor cleans up the column headings. Weekly age. This is where I pull out the fields I need to state the end date. Okay, the end date, not the sex, the age group, the total deaths, and COVID-19 deaths. I changed the name. I changed the column names to state, date, sex, age, deaths, COVID-19. I then replaced the slash in the date field with a dash, which R likes a little better. Then I use the as date function with the format to actually to convert the dates to an actual date type field. Then I pull up my first large data set, all ages. So I want so I'm going to pull out the age groups here, okay? I want everything in the age column except for all ages. So I'm going to pull out all the age groups details and all the sexes and only the all sex lines. So this will give us the total for that age group, okay? Then we come down here, we do a subset, sex totals, subset, date. Okay, so this is a second uh, uh, data frame with totals by sex. I come out, I say, I don't want all sex. I want male and female, and I don't want all sex. I want the totals for each sex separately. Then we plot this. We come down here, and as you see, so we get a total deaths by sex. You come down, you get total COVID-19s by age group. Then we calculate the total deaths and percentage of deaths by age groups, okay? Here we read so here we actually do use the second field. All right? So we do use the second data. I didn't realize that, but we do. And once again, we do a CDC age, data table F read, janitor, clean up data fields, filter, either all ages or sexes all. So I only want male, female numbers. I want the detailed numbers associated. And we plot that. Then we do all sex, subset, weekly, and all ages. And then we come down here and we plot total COVID-19 deaths by age group and sex. When we come down here, we do not all ages. We reverse, we say subset all sex, age in 55 to 65. So we're pulling out the three most affected age groups. This is what's important here. And when you see the numbers for this, you're going to be surprised at how much these numbers declined since April. Now, the second question is, do we know there's an increase in deaths right now in the U.S.? So are we going to see this increase in deaths in these age groups here? That's the interesting fact, okay? So we come down here and we plot COVID-19 deaths by week for age groups 55 and older. We come down to COVID-19 deaths as a percentage of all deaths, okay? So we're going to divide in total deaths. We're going to divide COVID-19 deaths by total deaths down here. All ages, all sex, all percentage here. I simply calculate the percentage. This said, then we plot that. We plot the total deaths and cases. Heart disease, 655,000. Cancer, 599,000. COVID-19 as of November 4th. We're now up to about 299,000, something like this. So we're going to come down here and go plot weekly total deaths and COVID-19 deaths, okay? So we already ran this. Now let's run this. Okay. So what is the mean of the total deaths? So this should be the mean for all the age groups. We're averaging 6,645 deaths per day. Or per week, I'm sorry. So we're averaging 6,645 deaths per week, but only 606 deaths, COVID-19 deaths by week, okay? Now, let's come down here. Now we're going to run our initial plots. Total COVID-19 deaths by age and sex. Source, U.S. Center for Disease Control. All ages by date. We create a new data frame. We do a plot. And now you can see that overall, more men have died than women. Almost 25,000 more men have died than women. Okay? Now we're going to take a look here. This is going to be total COVID-19 deaths by age group. Okay? Now we see our first number here. All right? You can see that as expected, Remember, this is the total deaths as of what, 2 weeks ago? I think it should be here, maybe. We just passed this, so it should be here. So as of November 7th, this is the total deaths by age group. All right, and we should expect these, and these numbers here are heavily weighted for the first 3 months of the disease. Okay, you'll see in a moment. But look how this drops off down through here. All right, look how this drops off. So the question is, who gets the vaccines first? Do we use the vaccine to put people back to work? Or do we use the vaccine to reduce the death totals of these top 4 age groups? Now, let's look at these same age groups as a percentage of the total. Okay, this plot actually looks pretty nice, doesn't it? You know what? Let's try some here. Let's try to do a reorder. We do this. Did we do a reorder back up here? Yes, we did. Okay. Okay, so we got that. Then we do this. Well, that's why I didn't do that, because I wasn't quite sure how to do that with the formula. But I should have been able to calculate this separately. So let's run this one more time, make sure it's clear. Oh, I just got rid of that. Okay, so now we got our percentages, okay? You can see that over 20, almost 25%, 15 to 5, maybe as much as 25% of the deaths, total deaths, as of 2 weeks ago, is 85 and older. Now this number comes down somewhat. You can see 17% at 75 to 85. But look at this down here. From 54 and below, the death rate drops to below 5%. 35 to 45 actually belongs up here someplace, probably, okay? Because it's a little higher. But it's still only 6%. But look, 45 and older, the mortality rate drops below about 2.5%. Okay? So, what would happen if you did a reorder? Okay, anyway. So what you see here is how dramatically the death percentage drops as age groups go down. So do we really bother to vaccinate people, say, under the age of 30 or under the age of 35? Or do we focus on the higher risk groups, say the 30 and above? Okay. Now we got down here, it says total COVID-19 deaths by age group and sex. And what this gives us here is this is the total deaths by age group for all sex, male and female. This is no surprise you saw it above, but now look at this. Women have the highest number of deaths, 85 and older. But for 84 and down, the men have more deaths, which is sort of interesting, I think. Okay. So does this mean we should focus on men? We should focus on women, 85 and older, and men 85 and under for vaccines. Let's look down here. Now, this one says COVID-19 deaths by week for age groups 55 and older. This is where it gets interesting. To me, this is where it gets really interesting, okay? Look at how these are continuing to drop, okay? So the question, well, okay, yeah, this is 2 weeks ago. So the spike in deaths hasn't shown up yet, all right? But this is a key point. Look at how many, look at how the deaths among this 55 and older have all declined for all these three age groups, okay? That tells us that the current methods we are going to try to control this disease is working among the most at the four age groups most at risk for COVID-19. And this has, like I say, this has shown this right here. Okay. There's also a low S curve, by the way. One note here. Let's see what we got here. I did something here. What is it? Okay, I did a facet wrap on age, but this here controls the number of columns. Let's just do one. This it looks like that. This is turning two. Let's change this to one column. See what we got. Now we got the groups in a single column. It's much harder to really see what's going on there. Let's change this back to two. Okay. You can also do something similar to this, I believe, with a package called Patchwork for Y, if you can do it right in here. So this is actually a pretty cool plot for me. So we got down here. Now it says COVID-19 deaths as a percentage of all deaths. This is interesting. Back in April and May, COVID-19 counted for over 25% of the deaths. Currently, it's only counting for 5% of the deaths. That's a massive decrease in deaths. Of course, total deaths is always going to go up, but COVID-19 deaths isn't always going up. So to me, this is a huge increase. This is amazingly good news. This proves that the simple methods we are taking, wearing masks, social distancing, avoiding crowds if possible, is making a huge difference in the number of COVID-19 deaths. And what's this final thing here? Plot of both deaths and COVID-19 cases. So once again, you can see this huge drop in deaths. You see total deaths begin declining here, but there was this huge drop about the same time we had this drop here. So once again, this is total deaths. And this isn't. Let's try one more thing. Let's try doing this with a underscore y log 10. Let's see if we can do a log 10 scale here, shall we? Okay, this is a little more interesting. I'm not sure how useful it is, but it's more interesting. Okay. Once again, this is total deaths. We're using a log scale, log 10 scale, and this is COVID-19 deaths. Interesting. What let's do? Let's do both plots, shall we? Get rid of this. Let's label Y. Okay. Let's try running this report from the top one more time, then I'll let you go. Okay, so once again, men are out. Men are out. Are more male deaths than female deaths to date. Age groups again, 85 and above, as you saw before. These numbers have decreased dramatically. Uh, this is percentage by age groups, and you can see, as you would expect, higher age groups are you know, we need to do. And maybe I'll think about it during the week. I was going to say, what we need to do is look at the total deaths as a percentage by week. Okay. Anyway, okay, so these are the percentage. And the question again was, when do we vaccinate the people who are 35 and under? Consider the fact that the death rate is less than 2%. But do we not vaccinate people 49 and under? Okay, because their average is about 35 to 44. Interesting. Okay, and the totals by male and female. Again, you can see males. Uh, 85 and over, the more females have died, but below 85, more males have died. Here's the four plots showing the decline for deaths for the four age groups. Again, here's the plot that shows that how the COVID-19 deaths have declined as a percentage of total deaths. And here's just the total deaths and COVID-19 deaths plotted on a log scale. And here's its straight plot. But important, you can see the decline here as the numbers declined here. All right. So anyway, I think we'll call it quits on this live stream. I hope you found some encouragement. Uh, First, I hope you have a more realistic understanding of what our expectations can be as far as the first round of COVID-19 vaccinations take place. And secondly, I want you to realize that the numbers among the four greatest risk groups, okay, the four greatest risk groups, that age groups, has declined dramatically. And the decline of death of those four age groups is probably why we saw such a dramatic decline since April in the overall number of deaths. Okay? So, well, thanks for your time again. And we'll catch you later on in the week with another live stream, probably. Okay? Thanks so much for your time. You're taking time from your evening to spend an hour with me this evening. And by the way, if you haven't done so already, don't forget to click that subscribe button. And also, don't forget to like and share this video. Also, share it with your friends, okay? Share the good news with your friends of what this video says, okay? Thanks so much for your time, folks. Thanks for stopping by Caribou Data Science channel. And we'll catch you on the next report.